Hi, this is Matt once again. We're back to another video. This is a paid request for Kevin. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, whether it be a topic, commentary, reaction, a movie review, re-review, thoughts, commentaries, video game playthroughs, tier list rankings, whatever the case may be, PayPal is the best bet to do that. CashApp works as well. Links are down below in the info box. I will get to it as soon as I can. For those who sent them, thank you. I really do appreciate it. And cheers to everyone. Now, he wanted me to compare 3 films in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. Part 1, Part 3, and Wes Craven's New Nightmare. And I think he chose these 3. Number 1, because Part 4 is my favorite, so I would easily choose that as my favorite. It's always been my favorite of the franchise. But also, these are the 3 with Heather Langenkamp in it. Heather, of course, starred in the first film, and then Heather Langenkamp came back for the 3rd movie. Then she played herself in Wes Craven's New Nightmare. And before I start, let me just say Nightmare on Elm Street is the franchise that got... I watched a lot of horror films when I was a kid, but this is the first, I think, franchise that got me into the genre. Meaning that I would consistently watch sequel after sequel after sequel. And liked most of them. Of the first 7 movies, the only one I do not like is Part 5. I never liked Part 5. But the others I either like or I love. First one's a classic. Second one I think is a bit underrated. Third one is a lot of fun. Fourth one's my personal favorite. Freddy's Dead is goofy and silly and stupid, but I find aspects of it creative and entertaining and kind of funny. And Wes Craven's New Nightmare I thought was a nice change of direction. It was a breath of fresh air. Freddy vs. Jason is what it is afterward, and then the remake I think is the worst of the worst. I mean, I despise, I detest. I think the remake of Elm Street is a piece of fucking shit. I do not have anything nice to say about that remake at all. To me, it is one of the worst remakes of all time, in my opinion. I hate that remake. But anyway. I am surprised I'm not gonna either request a re-review or do a commentary on that piece of shit. But anyway, the first, the third, and New Nightmare, all 3 I like. I think all 3 are entertaining in their own levels. They both have some different stuff in them, which is nice. Is one of the things I like about the franchise. It doesn't feel too much like a carbon copy each time. But I will say, between the 3, I would say Dream Warriors is my favorite of these 3. Like I said, if Part 4 is my all-time favorite Elm Street film, then Part 3 is my second favorite. One reason is because of the cast. Now, I do like the cast in the first film. Heather, John Saxon, Johnny Depp. I do like Heather in the remake, the New Nightmare. I do like the direction they went in. Where actors would play themselves. The full cast as a whole, I think, was the best in Part 3. Especially of these 3. Because not only did Robert Englund be able to elicit a bit more personality, and you have some of the great one-liners, which that's another jumping ahead. But you got Heather coming back, but you also have Patricia Arquette, who's very good as Kristen Parker. You got Rodney Eastman, who's likable as Joey. It's hard to give a performance with no dialogue, except at the very end. But yeah, I thought he did a good job playing this kind of horny but naive, innocent type of guy. Craig Wasson, I liked as an actor. He was in Brian De Palma's Body Double. He's the Dr. Neil Gordon. I thought he was likable. Ken Sagos as Kincaid, literally one of my favorite characters in this franchise. Probably my second favorite after Alice in Elm Street 4, Lisa Wilcox. Jennifer Rubin, Ira Hayden as Will, the guy in the wheelchair. John Saxon comes back. Bradley Gray as Philip, which he was also the star of Class in 1999, which I quite liked that film. He plays the guy Philip, where he's being led around by Freddy like a puppet. So I think it has the best cast of the three films here. So that's number one. The second reason is while I think all three are creative, I think the third film is the most creative of these three. That means the death scenes, whether it be the puppet or all the dream powers and how Freddy combats some of them, like Jennifer Rubin, and then her veins, they start pulsing up, and whether it be the snake monster, the worm-like monster, there's a lot of nice creativity, the head coming out of the TV. It really stepped it up a few notches in terms of special effects. And wow, like this is why this became one of the more popular horror franchises. It was making a bit more money compared to Halloween and Friday the 13th franchise, is this aspect. Wow, you do see these inventive, crazy special effects, and because it's the dream, you can do anything. The sky's the limit. Just what you can afford and your imagination. And I think the third film really showcased that, especially with the kills. But not just the kills, like I said, the Freddy worm thing and all that other stuff. That was very cool. Even the lady with the titties out that spits out the tons, and Joey's hanging there, but he's got the tons. Very creative movie. And I mentioned the kills, but also like the one-liners, the humor. I think of the three works best in this. Now, granted, the first film wasn't really going for that; it's more of horror. But at the same time, the one-liners are fun, and Elm Street 3 has some of the better ones. You got Welcome to Prime Time, bitch. Ooh, what a rush. Even by Kincaid, where he sees Bradley Gray go off, is like, have a nice stroll, asshole. I always laugh at that line. So there's some good one-liners in there. Now, granted, there's some things that, if I think about it, could detract it from the other ones. I don't think the musical score... The score isn't the best. It's there, it's fine, but it's not a score I listen to a lot. But on the flip side, it does have Dawkins' Dream Warriors. And that's another plus I have to give it, having a song like that. And again, the idea of these kids having these powers and being able to be strong and have some of the fight against Freddy, such a cool aspect, such a unique aspect to give, that by the third film, they're already doing stuff unique and different. Compared to Final Destination, Saw, some of these other franchises, that's what made Elm Street stick out. Now, granted, that was before those, but I mean, even looking at it today, it's not just through nostalgia glasses. It's the fact that even by the second film, they were doing stuff very different. Now, they got punished, because a lot of people did not like the second one, but so that's one of the reasons I like the second film, is how it went about a different route. It wasn't a carbon copy. Like, you could easily do a carbon copy of, but okay, it's a possession, and now Freddy's controlling him, and I'm like, okay, that's unique. I like that. Freddy tries to, and even the whole scheme of things, I think it works where Freddy tried to do something different. It didn't work out. Just the power of love, to the Back to the Future soundtrack. So now, fuck it, I'm not going to possess someone again because someone's going to do another Power of Love ballad on me, and then I'm going to be, burned to death, and then have some stupid sequel bit ending, and we never see those characters again, which pissed me off. That's one aspect, part two, I don't like, is the ending. where you don't know what the hell happened to the characters. Because I like the characters. That's just me. But yeah, part 3 with Freddy becoming more the Freddy I'm used to. Like my favorite version of Freddy is 3 and 4. Idea why people's favorites may be 1 and 2, just more of the darker, scarier Freddy. But I like the 3 and 4 Freddy because to see a bit. Because I'm never scared by these movies. I'm entertained. Very few horror movies scare me, so I'm going into them in a different mindset of being entertained in some way or another. And to be 3 and 4, you got to see a bit more of Robert Englund's personality, and that was a welcome asset to me. So the full cast, the creativity, the kills, the one-liners. Have Dotkin, Dream Warriors in there. Hell, you even got Lawrence Fishburne in there. All that, I have to put 3 as the top of these 3 movies we have here. Now, the tougher one was, which do I like more, the first film or Wes Craven's New Nightmare? Because I like both quite a bit. And if I did like a ranking, and I'm sure I probably did that before, but times change. A month, a year later, a ranking could rise or lower, just on how your mindset, your feelings are at that particular time. Because, okay, if I looked at the first film, The Fast, the original, so I don't want to say it has a bit more innocence, but it has a bit more of drawing you into the story, and you have that great opening with Tina, and then the great death scene. You have the darker, scarier Freddy that Robert does a great job with that voice, and they have the low lighting so you can barely see Freddy's face many times. I do think the original has a wonderful score. I think it's a fantastic score. I don't know why. I keep wanting to say it's underrated, which I know is stupid because people praise the score, but at the same time, it seems like a lot of people talk about the film, but the score, I think, just deserves a bit more notice because it's a very good score. I don't know about the song at the end. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. I'll be honest, throughout the years, I never knew that song existed because back in the day, I would watch this on a taped VHS tape. That means you did a blank tape, you have 2 VCRs, the rental copy you put in one and you watch it. This one you put in, you tape it, so that goes on to that. And then if they're short enough films, you do like 3 movies, because the blank tape will have about 6 hours worth. So let's say the movies are an hour and a half. That's 4.5 hours. Now say they're like 15 minutes longer each one, hour and 45. So that's a little over 5 hours and change. That's enough time for a 6-hour tape. So I would have like we had 1, 2, 3 on one tape, and then 4, 5, 6 on another tape. I said, oh, it's Friday day. Pop it in 1, 2, 3. Pop it in 4, 5. Fast forward or something, then get to 6. But because of that, a lot of times with these movies, I didn't see the end credits. Like Lethal Weapon, it wasn't until years later till I heard there was a damn song, which I like that song. It's a lethal weapon. Here, I didn't know there was a damn song until I got the DVD. And I've just listened. I'm like, what the fuck is this song? It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. But this song sucks. I think it's shit. But the score is great. I like Heather Langenkamp. I know some people dismiss her acting. I like her. I like Johnny Depp. I didn't mind the guy who plays... I always forget his damn name. The guy accused of killing Tina. I liked him. Character's name is named Rod. I'm bad with names. Sorry, I'm just bad with names. And I like the idea of beating Freddy... Take my power away from you. It was nice to see John Saxon in there. And then I go to New Nightmare. Well, okay, let me stick with this. My issues though with part one, and I love the film. That ending is really shit, and it's not Wes Craven's fault. The way Wes Craven wanted to end it was simple and satisfying. She beats Freddy, she comes out, it looks like a dream, there's her friend, she gets in the car, says bye to her mom, it rides off, and then you see have the kids going, 1, 2. Then the movie ends, and you're thinking, was the whole movie a dream? Is this a dream? Is Freddy gone? Well, what all happened? It left a bit more food for thought, that I think that's much stronger. Simpler, but stronger. But then Robert Shea, Bob Shea, dumb fuck said, oh, I want Freddy to drive the car. And Wes is like, no, that's stupid. And then they had a meeting in the mines, and then they came up with that stupid Barbie doll ending where the mom looks like a fucking Barbie doll going through the damn door, and it's so fucking goofy. It's like, and that's the last scene in the movie, so it kind of, like you says, it kind of, the fact that's the final image that embeds in your mind when the movie's over is like, so it's a sequel band ending, and then it's a goofy fucking stupid ending. Yeah. Now I looked at New Nightmare, and I like the gimmick. I like that it's about actors who were in the franchise and they want to do another Freddy film. And then you realize that the force that was contained with these films is out there and now is killing people in the real world. And they're trying to figure out what to do. And then the force is going after her son. I like the story. I like the gimmick. I think that's Heather's best performance. Because I think it really gives her a lot to, her. Again, I know it's weird to say because she's playing a version of herself, but I really liked her performance. I like the barrage of emotions from being, strong mother protecting her kid, being a strong figure to fight this force of Freddy. I thought Heather did a standout job in it. I'm just really a sucker for the gimmick. And there's some interesting sequences, like the whole highway sequence, where she got to save her kid. She's got to duck while the truck is sliding over her, and then having go into the other world. I like kind of his take on fairy tales, how a fairy tale is used to help her find her son. I thought it had some really nice ideas in it. Now, there is some pretty dodgy effects at the end in terms of when she goes from the real world to the dream world, and like that one thing she falls in, like that waterfall. That's a pretty dodgy effect there. The score is there, although I do like the track called Wes Craven's Nightmare. I think that piece of the score is great. The rest of it is, I think it's kind of, as a whole, kind of one of the weaker scores of the franchise. There's not a whole lot of kills in it. I think some people would be disappointed in that because you have a girl they just killed like Tina, only doesn't seem as gory. Maybe it may seem more violent because it's being done in front of a kid, but doesn't feel as bloody, gory as in the first film. You have the guy that gets stabbed in the chest at the beginning. God, I'm trying to remember who else. This not is might be the one with the lowest body count is New Nightmare. But I do like the ending in terms of there's a finality to it. It was great to see Wes in there. I know people kind of crap on Wes's acting. I like seeing Wes act. I mean, I know he's playing himself, but maybe it's just I miss Wes. He always seemed like a nice guy. He always seemed like a good guy, and I liked the way he's trying to explain to Heather about play Nancy one more time and what this force that now looks like Freddy, what it is. And I thought Wes did a nice job in that bit. It was cool to see kind of the behind the scenes of New Line Cinema. You got Bob Shea in there, Robert Englund playing himself. As a fan of the franchise, as a big fan since I was a kid, this felt like, wow, it felt like a nice, it's weird to say love letter, but, and that's one of the things that I don't like about Elm Street 3 is I don't like how Heather Langenkamp died and John Saxon died in the movie. I thought it was actually kind of lame. Maybe that's why Elm Street 4, when they killed the Dream Warriors, didn't bother me, because I'm like, well, Elm Street 3, John Saxon kind of died in a lame way where he didn't get to do much except get bitch slapped and impaled. Heather, at least she does try to help and stabs Freddy, but she still dies. And she didn't really have... I would say of the three, Heather does a good job, but it's my least favorite of three, because if Heather just kind of felt a bit... not out of place, but a bit lost. Because she's not really the lead. It was Craig Wasson and Patricia Arquette were the leads, but yeah, she's from the first movie. She's there to help, but then... she still does a good job. I still liked her in the movie. I do. I just, I don't like that they killed her off. And while I do like her, I would say I liked her performance in... And again, I'm not saying there's anything bad with her performance. I just liked in New Nightmare and the first one more. So when I saw New Nightmare, even though she's not playing... Well, eventually she does, in a way, play Nancy. She takes the mantle yet again. And there's some good visuals. I like when she's under the bed and she's being pulled under and it feels like it goes on forever as she's being pulled through darkness and like this slide from hell. Mito Hughes has grown on me in that film. I remember being a lot less tolerant with him. A lot less tolerant. I don't like a... God, it's been over a decade now. I remember I talked with my friends Effrey and Mike, and we were talking about Miko Hughes in this film, and I was very detrimental. I think it's just, I've seen so many worse child actors that he kind of is like, you know what, maybe he wasn't that bad. But I mean, the rest of the cast is kind of there. I mean... Like, the guy who plays her husband, he's not in it long enough to really make much of a dent. Again, and the others, it's like cool to see them play themselves. Robert Englund, Bob Shea, Wes Craven. You know, the girl who's like the babysitter, the nanny, who just tells she's fine. She doesn't stand out, but she's there. She's not bad. And that woman that played the nurse, I will say, but I think this was done on purpose, you definitely hate her. And it also really made me root for for Heather Langenkamp more. And that's why I will probably say Wes Craven's New Nightmare I will put above the first film. And I like the first film. But when I'm going back and forth with this, I'm sitting there going, they both have good stories. But the story I just find a tad even more interesting in Wes Craven's New Nightmare. And that's when I say the story is fascinating to me. I really like the story. I really like, you have this woman whose husband gets murdered, and she's a film actress, and then her son's going through all these things, and then they think that she's abusing him, or, oh, you make him watch your horror movies, and you're affecting him, and how she's she's pretty much calling bullshit on that, and so now she's being accused of abuse, let alone all this other stuff. And again, I think it's Heather's best acting performance, and she has a lot more to do. And just how it plays with the real world and the fictional world, and getting kind of a precursor to what you see in Stream and other stuff. And I just found that fascinating. I found that unique. I found that really interesting. And it's very tough to make a part 7 of a franchise interesting. And to give Wes credit, I thought he did. And I think it's a bit underrated too. Like, the first film gets its flowers, and it deserves its flowers. Part 7 really doesn't, because I know people who hate the film, and I don't. We all have different opinions. I just don't agree. We just agree to disagree. I like Wes Craven's New Nightmare a lot. Again, while I do like the first film, I think Part 7 is a bit underrated. I do. So there you go. If I have to judge it, Dream Warriors wins, then Wes Craven's New Nightmare, then the first film. And that's nothing just the first film. The first film is great. Again, I like all three quite a bit, but I got that. I don't know what to say. I'll just be repeating myself. It does make me want to go rewatch Wes Craven's New Nightmare. I will say that. Do with this. But with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. Thanks once again to Kevin. And we will see you guys later. Bye-bye for now.